has been a pioneer devotee who started historic and developed IIT Kharagpur preaching. I remember how His Grace Radheshampu had a great desire to preach in Kharagpur, so he had sent Rasikanpu, and he was trying and struggling in preaching. But when Rasikanpu met Revatipati Prabhu was a student in IIT Kharagpur and he was a topper there. And he came and just in one day he took up Krishna consciousness so seriously that he started chanting 16 rounds and all these things. And he was a topper. He was already mechanical engineering topper. And then when he took up Krishna consciousness, so many people got inspired. And because of him, then many others, Antardeep Prabhu, Mukundla Prabhu, then Prem Sarpu, and all this whatever brahmacharis we are saying, Prabhu and all, everybody started. He was like a elder brother, inspiring them, taking care of them. Their initial days, no brahmacharis were staying, but he was like resident renounced order person. Though he was student, but he used to really give great shelter and inspiration to everybody. And later on, he was one who started preaching in NIT Jamshedpur. So many devotees who came in Krishna, they were actually in the beginning trained by Revatipati Prabhu. And Revatipati Prabhu was the first IIT Kharagpur Brahmachari. So he has been a train setter. So he joined Pune temple, and since then he has been taking many responsibilities. He is currently serving as Vice President of ISKCON Pune, which is a very huge, massive community, more than almost 8,000 devotees, so many youths, so many brahmacharis, so many congregation, very senior devotees. And to deal with many senior is not so easy, but he, because of his humility, because of his sincerity, because of his service attitude, because of his non-judgmental attitude, he has been a friend of everyone. He's like Ajat Shatru, and he has been giving shelter to so many youths, brahmacharis, congregation at ISKCON Pune. Because of his wonderful ability to take responsibility, Radheshampu is able to travel all around the world without anxiety and travel around India. So Radheshampu has a great faith in him, and we see that. So he is very exemplary in his vichar, achar and prachar, and also very and his source of great inspiration to devotees. He has been very instrumental helping Calcutta also, many ways. And I remember initial days, every year he used to come with team of devotees from Pune to help Kolkata Rath Yatra. There were so many challenges in the beginning, like in Rath Yatra, the cleanness was the biggest challenge, because we were, the Prabhuji is one who set himself was, making sure cleaning all the garbage, cleaning every whole pandal, spick and span. I saw Radharam was shocked and surprised. Earlier there was like a lot of complaints, but when he came, he took up that department for 9 days, morning till night. He made that system. Now till now it is going on, and so many services he used to take up in Rath Yatra, and regularly he used to come earlier, but for a long time he has not come. So we are very happy that he had recently come to Mayapur. He just completed GBC college, and yesterday was a certificate awarding ceremony. So he had come for that, and we are very happy that he stayed back to give us his valuable assistance. So let us welcome His Grace Revatipati Prabhu to Shishintai Goranga ISKCON New Town Temple by loudly chanting Haribo, Haribo, Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Jaya Jagannatha Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Shobhadra Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraya. Nashtaprayeshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Ruttam Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtiki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. I am extremely happy and feeling blessed to be here at Srila Prabhupada's birth city and the city where Srila Prabhupada spent maximum time of his pastimes in this world. And I've come to Newtown earlier, but this is the first time I'm getting to serve all of you by discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam. Extremely thankful to His Grace Acharya Ratna Prabhu. Acharya Ratna Prabhu is the first, almost about to join Brahmachari whom I met, along with His Grace Gaur Sundar Prabhu in the year 2002, January. And practically the first ever prasadam I got was from his hands. And by that time, other things were over, only sweet rice was there. And we had no idea that the limited sweet rice or whatever. So I had a few glasses of sweet rice. That was my dinner that time. And then he gave me a card of Shri Shri Radha Kunja Vihari. May their Lordship Shri Shri Radha Kunja Vihari, shower their choicest blessings upon you. Like that he wrote. And I had no idea. We used to get Archie's card before that, printed message, and we used to write to home and from home. We never used to read it. Either the person whom we give was reading it for us. So I consider it as the result of those prayers that Shri Shri Radha Kunjaveri showered some of their blessings, and I could manage to continue and practice. And then also he has been fully involved in IIT Kharagpur preaching and guiding. And after that, when it came to Kolkata, and he was the first one to shift here along with many other devotees and to organize preaching in Kolkata and the Albert Road Temple and further at Newtown. So it's a very historical contribution in ISKCON movement, because anything done at Srila Prabhupada's birthplace is really something extraordinary. And now we are seeing the extraordinary project coming up very soon. Every day something is coming up. But then phase 2 will come up, phase 3 will come up, huge project. All grateful to Acharya Ratna Prabhu for his wonderful leadership and wonderful guidance. And he has always been available to me as a personal guide and mentor. In many of the situations, he has helped me for hours and hours altogether to take me out of those tough situations. So I'm very grateful to be here at his order and render some service. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 8, Text 28. Chapter is entitled as the story of Pingla, 28 text number. Tasya nirvinna chittaya Geetam shrunu yatha mama Nirveda asha pashanam Purushasya yatha hyashi Tasya nirvinna chittaya Geetam shrunu yatha mama Nirveda asha pashanam Purushasya yatha hyashi Tasya nirvinna chittaya Geetam shrunu yatha mama Nirveda asha pashanam Purushasya yatha hyashi Tasya nirvinna chittaya Geetam shrunu yatha mama Nirveda asha pashanam Purushasya yatha hyashi Tasya nirvinna chittaya Gitam shunu yatha mama. Nirveda asha pashana. Purushasya yatha yashi. Tasya nirvinna chittaya. Gitam shunu yatha mama. Nirveda asha pashana. Purushasya yatha yashi. Mataji. Tasya nirvinna chittaya. Gitam shunu yatha mama. Nirvedasha pashana. Purushasya yatha yashi. Word to word meaning. Tasya, of her. Nirvinna, disgusted. Chittaya, whose mind. Geetam, song. Shunu, please hear. Yatha, as it is. Mama, from me. Nirveda, detachment. Asha, of hopes and yearnings. Pashanam, of the binding network. Purushasya, of a person. Yatha, just as. He, certainly. Ashi, the sword. Translation and purport by the servants of the Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The prostitute felt disgusted with her material situation and thus became indifferent to it. Indeed, detachment acts like a sword, cutting to pieces the binding network of material hopes and desires. Now, please hear from me the song sung by the prostitute in that situation. Purport. The network of material desires is created when one falsely thinks that he can establish himself permanently in the material world. This binding network should be cut by the sword of detachment. Otherwise, one will be forced to wander in the illusory network of Maya with no understanding of liberated life on the spiritual platform. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Shah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachari Vishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratushe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhishya Kripa Sindhubhya Evaja Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. I seek the blessing of all the assembled devotees to be able to discuss on this subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. This chapter is entitled as the story of Pingla, and this is a part of Uddhav Gita where Krishna is instructing Uddhava before he is departing from this planet. So Lord gives instruction through his devotees to all the mankind for their benefit. Just like Krishna is instructing Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. And Arjuna is becoming an instrument for him to, propagate his teaching for all the humans in general. And here in Uddhava Gita, Krishna is making Uddhava as a via medium for instructing us in the science of devotional service, in the process of devotional service. And this context is especially coming where Krishna is telling Uddhava about Maharaj Yayati, who is his predecessor. Because Krishna also comes in the Yadu dynasty. Maharaj Yayati has Yadu as one of his sons, in whose dynasty Krishna later appeared. So, Krishna is telling Yayati Maharaj meeting with a Brahmana, Avadhuta Brahmana. And that Avadhuta Brahmana is just there, lying on the ground, not doing much. And Maharaj Yayati goes to him and then inquires from him. You are there at one place and you are not anxious, you are not in any kind of botheration, tension, anxiety. That means you must be highly spiritually realized. So please share your realizations and wisdom. And then that Brahmana, he tells Maharaj Yayati that how he has become self-realized by learning from many spiritual masters. He said, I have learned from 24 personalities or phenomena. And then he started explaining them. And then in that course of discussion, now he's telling what he learned from Pingla, who is one of the prostitutes. So it's very interesting when we have the right kind of vision, when we have the right attitude and right intent, and we are open to learn from anyone, anywhere. Everyone in this world appears to be like our teacher. They will not be Diksha Gurus, but we can learn lessons from them. And those lessons can bring us closer to Krishna. So if we are looking forward to come closer to Krishna, then the entire creation is orchestrated in such a way that every phenomena, every person, every incident, every interaction will be appearing to take us in that direction. And if we do not have this kind of attitude and intent, then everything that happens will appear like an obstacle, like a problem, like a difficulty, like a challenge in our practice of Krishna consciousness or approach to Krishna. So it's a matter of attitude and intent. So because this Brahmana has this kind of intent of learning what Krishna is trying to teach me, so he's learning from everyone. He's learning from a moth, he's learning from a pigeon. He's learning from all different kind of personalities whom we will not even consider to be worth learning anything. Who can learn from any prostitute? But here he is, that he's respecting and learning even from the prostitute, and such deep lessons he's learning. So this is a very, very important aspect, that the world is a reflection of our own consciousness. So whatever we desire, Krishna makes arrangement in this world that the world will appear to fulfill that desire. When we desire to make progress and advancement in Krishna consciousness, then everything is well aligned. Everything appears to be a stepping stone to learn something, to rise in Krishna consciousness. So here he talks about Pingla, that how she was one day waiting at her doorstep for some customer, some person. And the whole night passed and nobody came. And in that state of total desperation, frustration, she became completely detached. And then that is what is described here. And further, her song will be described. This is Bhikshuk Geet, the song of the Bhikshuk. And within that there is this Pingla Geet. Pingla's slokas will come further. Tomorrow or day after tomorrow we'll discuss that. So frustration always do not lead to detachment and enlightenment. There has to be some background for that. So I have not read much yesterday night only. I was told, so I could not read from Acharya's commentaries. But in principle, we can understand that Pingla must have had a past where she cultivated detachment, practiced Krishna consciousness, served her guru, and that's why that seed was there. And when this kind of situation came, that seed just germinated, it flourished. Just like we hear in the case of Bilva Mangal Thakur, he had a past He had a past. So when he heard the words of the prostitute that why are you attached to this material body, if you become attached to Lord Krishna in the same way, then your life will become perfect. So just by hearing those words, we become completely enlightened. So when such enlightenment happens in such averse situation, that has to be understood that there is a past background to that. Otherwise, normally it will not be easy. But still, the lessons are very vital. So here, it says that the prostitute felt disgusted with her material situation and thus became indifferent to it. Srila Prabhupada also says in Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, that as far as material life is concerned, he writes in the purport, Janam Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshanu Darshana, that unless one is pessimistic about material life, one will not be very enthusiastic to make advancement in Krishna consciousness. I paraphrased it. So this pessimism in material life is a necessity for taking spiritual life seriously and maintaining our enthusiasm in spiritual life. Because if we have hopes that material life also is okay, it's wonderful, some problems are there, but overall it's okay. And just like material people, they have that Asha Baddha. Actually, as devotees, we are supposed to be Asha Baddha, that Krishna has given so much promise, so much insurance versus he has given in Bhagavad Gita. Right? Krishna gives so much insurance because he knows that to have fear is one of the qualities of the conditioned life. And although Ahar, Nitra, Mathunam, they are periodic, they are at certain time, but Bhaya is something which is constantly there with the living entity, constantly troubles the living entity. So living entity is going to have that fear. So that's why Krishna, right from beginning, chapter number 2, he says, Neha Vikram Nashvasi Pratyavayana Pradhyate Swalpam Apesya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. Little endeavor and greatest, you'll be saved from greatest fear. These are all insurance verses. Little, what do you call that? Monthly payment? EMI or, SIP. Little, you do that and Mahato Bhayat, you'll be saved from greatest fear. It's like the same. You do 10,000 rupees per month for 2 years and 2 crore you'll get after whatever years. Like that. And then again and again he says, the 9th chapter he says that Ananya Yantayanto Mam Yajana Paripasate Tesham Nitya Viktanam Yoga Chema Vahami Aham. And this is the part stolen by LIC. Yogam Chema Vahami. Actually, Krishna is telling for his devotees for that. Apiche Suduracharo Bhajate Mamananya Bhag Sadhureva Samantavya Samyak Vastohisa Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma Shashvak Shantim Nigachati Konteya Pratijani Name Bhakta Pranashati. These are all protective verses. And finally, in conclusion, also finally, how we conclude? Sarva Dharman Parityaja Maam Ekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tuam Sarva Papebhyo Moksheshyami Ma Sucha. Do not fear. Because in surrender there is fear. What if matter life is also gone, spiritual perfection is also not attained? That also is asked by Arjuna in the 6th chapter in Bhagavad Gita. What happened to such a person? He left material life but could not attain spiritual perfection. And Krishna says, do not fear. Anybody who walks on this path is always protected. He is never overcome by evil. So Krishna gives a lot of assurance, lot of confidence to walk on this path. So that is why the devotees are supposed to be Asha Baddha. That, whatever may happen, hum honge kamyab ek din. Today, tomorrow, by our chanting, by our dancing, by our services, it will all lead to perfection in due course of time. That is the hope a devotee is supposed to have. Shri Gaunitai, Srila Prabhupada. So devotees are supposed to have that Asha Baddha. But, and we have seen in past, we have seen the Mahajana's life, we have seen current devotees' life, Srila Prabhupada's life, Srila Prabhupada's disciples' life, how they have surrendered and attained the highest success. But still, the mind is so materially surcharged that even after seeing so much, hearing so much, reading so much, faith in spiritual life, success does not come easily. On the other hand, even after repeatedly seeing that material life leads to nowhere, ultimately it's a failure. Ultimately. Anybody can leave any time and he leaves behind everything. Just 2 weeks back, we had Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra. And he was there in a plane and the plane crashed. And he left. So many plans, such a big person, such a very bright political career and everything. And it just finished within moments. So we have seen that with the end of life, everything can just crash anytime. And within this life also, with the crash of the stock market, or with some accident or anything, the situation can completely turn. And we have seen it happening. We have seen it happening in our lives. We have seen it happening in the lives of our near and dear ones. Still, the mental conditioning is so strong that mental mind still imagines everything will be all right. Everything will be okay. And it's okay. Some material life, some spiritual life. Make a balance. Go ahead. Like that, the mind tries to convince us. So, rather than being Asha Baddha in the spiritual front, the mind tries to convince us to become Asha Baddha in the material front. And that becomes a problem. And that's what it says. The network of material desires is created when one falsely thinks that he can establish himself permanently in the material world. So although, as a matter of debate, nobody will say that I will live forever. But the way people work and save money and make establishments and expand things, it is an indicative of their belief that they will live forever. Right? Otherwise, they're not going to live forever. Then why not, settle everything and do practice devotional service, give charity, and settle everything? That they will not do, because although they may not say it, but their subtle belief is that I will live forever. This binding network should be cut by the sword of detachment. Otherwise, one will be forced to wander in the illusory network of Maya with no understanding of liberated life on the spiritual platform. So, in the similar lines, Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 15. I would like to refer a few verses from here and then go a little bit into the application orientation. Those very famous slokas. Chapter 15 is the yoga of the Supreme Person, Purushottam Yoga. Now, this year there is a Adhik Mas, Purushottam Mas. And one of the things recommended in that month is to recite this chapter every day. So many devotees memorize it, and many children also memorize it in the Gita classes also, the Sloka classes. Some of the first verses memorized are from this chapter, or sometimes the entire chapter, with just 20 slokas, not. So let us recite the first 4 verses together and then read a bit of translation and purport. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhamulam Adasakham Aswatham Prahuravyayam Chandamasi Yasya Parnani Yastam Vedasa Vedaved Adaschordvam Prasashtratasya Sakha Guna Pravarda Vishaya Pravala Adashamulani Anusantani Karmanubandhini Manushya Loke Narupamasya tathopalabhet nanto nachandir nasampratishtha ashwathamenam savirudamulam asanga shastrena dranena chitva tatapadam tat parimargatvam yasangatana nivartani bhuya tameva chadyam purusham prapadde yata pravartir prasarashta purani. So here Krishna tells, after talking about the 3 modes of material nature, he says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Prabhupada writes in the purport, the entanglement of this material world is compared here to a banyan tree. For one who is engaged in fruitive activity, there is no end to the banyan tree. He wanders from one branch to another, to another, to another. The tree of this world, this material world, has no end, and for one who is attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation. So then he further explains how the tree is perverted, and the perverted tree is seen only near a water body. Right? Otherwise, in the land, one cannot see the reflection, perverted reflection. So here he says, now there is no ready experience in this world of a tree situated with its branches down and its root upward. But there is such a thing. In this world we don't experience, but there is such a thing. That tree can be found beside a reservoir of water. We can see that the tree on the bank reflect upon the water with its branches down and roots up. In other words, the tree of this material world is only a reflection of the spiritual, real tree of the spiritual world. And this is very important. This reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire, just as a tree's reflection is situated on water. Desire is the cause of things being situated in this reflected material light. One who wants to get out of this material existence must know this tree through analytical study. So basically, just like the tree is reflected on a water body, similarly, the tree of the spiritual world is reflected on the water, which is compared to the desire of the living entity. Krishna bhuli se jiva bhogavancha kare, nikatastha maya thare, japati adare. So when the living entity forgets Krishna and desires to enjoy separately, then the entire material world is created. Ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata. So desire is the cause of entanglement, and desire only becomes the cause of liberation. And the entire process of Krishna consciousness, in a sense, is to transform the desire. It's not a set of rules, it's not just a matter of rituals, it's not a set of just activities. No, its ultimate effect is in terms of transforming the desire. We are here in this world trying to enjoy in different ways, by engaging the senses. And Krishna consciousness teaches us to redirect that desire, and rather than enjoying the senses, engage the senses in serving Krishna. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. So this is the essence of the Krishna conscious practice. And when we have to evaluate ourselves, we have to see that how are my desires changing. Externally things will change, but change of desire is the real change. When the desires change, then the water is dried up, then there's no more reflection. So that's why it's a Vishwam Purna Sukhayate. For somebody who does not have a desire to enjoy in this world, even this world, although it is Dukkhalayam, will appear to be Vishwam Purna Sukhayate. Because he has no desire to enjoy in this world, no desire to exploit this world. So, further, Krishna says, the real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. So, difficult where the things begin. Anadir Bahir Mukha. Anadir Bahir Mukha. There is no beginning of when we got entangled. When the fruitive mentality came, there no end to it. Difficult to trace. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. So I took this verse because as a connection. There also it says that. Indeed, detachment acts like a sword cutting to pieces the binding network of material hopes and desires. And here also it says that, but with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek that place from having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. So now we'll read this purport because Prabhupada is very wonderful purport of this. It is now clearly stated that the real form of this banyan tree cannot be understood in this material world. Since the root is upwards, the extension of the real tree is at the other end. When entangled with the material expansion of the tree, one cannot see how far the tree extends, nor can one see the beginning of this tree. Yet one has to find out the cause. I am the son of my father is the son of such and such person, etc. By searching in this way, one comes to the Brahma, who is generated by Garbhodakshay Vishnu. Finally, in this way, when one reaches the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is the end of research work. One has to search out that origin of this tree, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through the association of persons who are in knowledge of that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then, by understanding, one becomes gradually detached from this false reflection of reality. And by knowledge, one can cut off this connection and actually become situated in the real tree. So the first step is to gain knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without knowing the Supreme Lord and His personality, then one's detachment will not be sustainable. Karmis, Jnanis, Yogis, all are advised to become detached because they understand that attachment to the fruits of material activities, or attachment to anything in this world leads to suffering. Asha hi paramam dukkham, Buddha said. Nirasha hi paramam sukham. So karmis try to become detached by offering, part of their fruits which they have attained, by giving in charity or sacrifice like that. They also try to do some level of detachment. And Jnanis try to gain detachment from this world by cultivating knowledge. Right? And then yogis, they by the mechanical means of yama, niyam, asana, pranayam, pratyahara, all those things, they also try to become detached. So detachment is a common theme, but it is not sustainable in their cases, because they have no higher taste, they have no higher engagement. So although they may know that material entanglement is binding, it leads to suffering, still they will not be able to sustain their detachment, because the detachment which is sustainable is a automatic or a natural byproduct of true attachment. Because soul has the nature to be attached. Soul by nature is not detached. By nature it is attached. It's a matter of to whom it is attached, to what it is attached. So only through the process of Bhakti Yoga, when we understand that our true attachment is to the personality of Godhead and His service, then only the detachment becomes a byproduct. It just comes. We can see that so much in our practical life also. When we tell people to chant Hare Krishna, come to temple, read Prabhupada's books, we don't have to tell them what are the regulative principles. They just on their own, they lose the desire and they transform. On the other hand, if bhakti process is not there, then everything else is very artificial, and any moment one can go back. Like even a rishi like Vishwamitra Muni, after so many thousands of years of tapasya, then he fell down. And we saw in the case of Swabani Muni, such a yogi, he was performing meditation within water, just to not have any distraction. But even there, he got distracted. So karmis, jnanis, yogis, although they try to be detached from this world, that is not sustainable. Any moment they can fall back again in the material world. But because the devotees, for them, detachment is not the main thing. Attachment is the main thing. Attachment is the main thing. Param drishtva nivartate. That happens by gaining the higher taste or higher attachment to the Lord. And that is where the detachment which is there from the material thing, that is sustainable. They do not fall back into that. If they have truly tasted it. Sometimes devotees also are in the process. So somebody may ask that somebody practice for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, then why they go back? It happens. One thing is that whatever the practice will be retained still. Another thing is that during their practice they did not focus on the right thing. Because bhakti is not only a practice by external, senses and all. It's an internal cultivation where every moment we are trying to align our desire to serve and please the Lord. If that internal endeavor to please the Lord and please the spiritual master is not going on, then we are practicing at a physical or mental level, and that level one can slip. But if anyone is endeavoring at the level of desire, at the level of heart, to please Guru, please Srila Prabhupada, please Krishna, then for such a person, obstacles may come, difficulties may come, but he will not fall back. So somehow that can be adjusted. So that is why the detachment which is there as a part of bhakti is sustainable, not otherwise. The word asanga is very important in this connection, because the attachment for sense enjoyment and lording it over the material nature is very strong. Therefore, one must learn detachment. How? By discussion on spiritual science based on authoritative scriptures. And one must hear from persons who are actually in knowledge. As a result of such discussion in the association of devotees, one comes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, about the personality of Godhead, one can know only through devotees. Through other people, one cannot come to know of the personality of Godhead. One can know the Lord as Brahman, one can know about demigods and other things, Paramatma. But about the Lord, one can know only from devotees. And one can develop affection for the Lord only through the medium of affectionate devotees. And that is why Sadhu Sangha is so highly emphasized on the path of bhakti. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Kaya. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarvasiddhi ho. While on the other path, one may, not get that complete knowledge. So knowledge of the Supreme Lord and the desire to serve the Lord, they are implanted by the devotee of the Lord only. Sangat sanjayate bhakti. We say that bhakti comes from the Sangha. There's a whole analysis done by our acharyas how bhakti comes. But finally, bhakti is supremely independent, and from the heart of a devotee, it goes to another person. So that is why, without associating with devotees and hearing from them, discussing with them, neither we can have faith in the personality of Lord, neither we can get the desire to serve the Lord. As a result of such discussion and association of devotees, one comes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then the first thing one must do is surrender to Him. First thing, after knowing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, first thing is to surrender. And surrender is not just a word. Surrender, Sharanagati, means there are 6 limbs, and the level of advancement or the level of faith of a devotee is to check by how much enthusiastic he is in following the 6 limbs of Sharanagati. Anukulyasa sankalpa, pratikulyasa varjanam, rakshitya titi vishwaso, goptaptve varnam tata, atmanikshepa karpanyam, shadvita Sharanagati. First thing one must do is to surrender to Lord, not the last thing. First thing to do is to surrender. Bhakti begins with surrender and culminates in absolute surrender. In the beginning, the surrender is not ripened, not full, but it is still surrender. That is Shraddha. And Prema is also that ripened Shraddha, mature Shraddha becomes Prema, complete surrender. Then the first thing one must do is surrender to Him. The description of that place, hence having gone, one never returns to this false reflected tree, is given here. And then later that verse comes, Natad bhashate suryana shashanko na pavaka. And Prabhupada reads that one must be captivated by this information. Because only when we are captivated by that information and we are pessimistic about this world, then our bhakti will go on, stably. If we have more hopes here and we are not excited about that, then it will be very loose. We can see Srila Prabhupada's videos. Every devotee was just as if, going back to God is like catching a bus to Howrah. It was like that for them. You can see those videos there. All their queries, all their orientation, everything is just around that you have to go back home, back to God. It's a commonly spoken word. So much enthusiasm. Prabhupada made it so alive for them. It just looked just next door. Like, that's such faith. And with that faith, they were able to surrender to Srila Prabhupada and ready to do anything what Prabhupada desired. I mean, we know Albert Road to Newtown and now establishing things here, and we have many devotees who can speak Bengali and talk, and still there are challenges. Can you imagine in 1970s going to Mayapur without the Kalyani Expressway, NH12 and everything? It has happened in the last 2-3 years. Going there, getting the materials there, dealing with the Bengali laborers, and getting constructed some lotus building or the temple or chakra building, it's not easy. Even in the middle of the city, construction is never easy. Construction is always challenging. But then to do it such a remote place, for what purpose? Paddy fields, water everywhere, snakes are floating, no kind of flowing water, tap water. Such challenges, because they had such faith that there's such surrender. That is the meaning of surrender. Surrender means the willingness to do anything for pleasing Guru and Krishna. And then one is captivated by the information. To gain the favor of that person in Godhead, one has only to surrender. And this is the result of performing devotional service by hearing, chanting, etc. And therefore, to get out of the entanglement of the strong banyan tree of material life, one must surrender to Krishna. As soon as one surrenders unto Krishna, one becomes detached automatically from this material extension. So surrender leads to that detachment, which actually cut off all the entanglement of the hopes and desires what is being talked about. So just a little bit on practical side, so much of that. Because it's the nature of the soul to be attached. So when we forget the right object of attachment, we become attached, but in wrong means. We become attached to object of senses, we become attached to possessions, what we have. We become attached to position sometimes, what may be given for service. And we become very much attached to opinions and ideas. that is there when we are working in a community. Then all these things are around us. Possessions are there, positions are there, ideas are there, opinions are there. So, although detachment is a byproduct of practicing bhakti, what is that verse? Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayajata Janetyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayat Ahetikam. The Vairagya comes. But because our practice itself is a sadhaka stage, it will not happen immediately. So it requires a little contemplation and analysis to really check out how am I doing, how am I faring with all these things around me. Am I attached to my possessions? If my room is changed, if my mobile is changed, if the temple does not sanction the mobile I desired. So much. Sometimes people spend a week altogether and they must study around 200 different mobile sets to find out one mobile for them, which happens. Or laptops sometimes. So if they are changed, if my facilities are changed, am I really getting disturbed, or I'm okay? Because facilities are just to facilitate. They are not defining the purpose. They are the means to attain the purpose. They are not the purpose in themselves. So one has to check on that line. Prabhupada says that for brahmachari there are very few attachments. In the Rishabdev Maharaj section, he says few clothes and few things, few gadgets. But for grasta there are a lot of objects. Adha, Graha, Kshetra, Sutapta, Vitya. So, and then there are connections, relations also. So are we seeing those things in our connection and getting disturbed, or are we able to spiritualize those connections? Are we able to see our parents, our family members, relatives as Krishna's children, and are we able to serve them in that mood, that they belong to Krishna, and let me serve them in a way to bring them closer to Krishna? Or am I still at a material level of consciousness and I feel bodily connections more stronger than the spiritual connections? How is my connection and relationship with the devotees around me? Because they are really our family members, right? So we have a blood family, definitely. But when we come to Krishna consciousness, then this God family and the relationship with God family should become even much more stronger than the blood family also. Because Krishna is the center here for everyone's life. There it may be or may not be. And then positions, we have different roles, right? And the roles are there because in an institution there have to be some roles to organize things and to manage the services. But how do I react when the roles change? And no matter who we are, where we are, whether we are into PDC class or whether we are into GBC, the roles and responsibility changes. Huh? I know even GBCs where their profiles are changed. And even initiating spiritual masters where they're told to do this or not to do this. Some are told to stop initiation for some years. So, there is always a ruling above us. There's always somebody who can change our profiles. So how do we respond? How do we react to that situation? We have to see. And then there are, expectations, right? So how do we deal with those expectations? Opinions are there when some other discussion is going on. Ideas are our own creative ideas to do something for the mission. So when we work together, there will always be a chance of conflict because we are all individuals. Srila Prabhupada in a letter in 1967 wrote that all of you are my disciples, all of you are practicing Bhakti Yoga, and still you are fighting. That goes to show that the soul is fully individual. That defeats Mayavad. I mean, Prabhupada only can think like this. He said, that defeats Mayavad. All are my disciples. All are practicing Bhakti Yoga. Still you are fighting. You all are individuals. So, this kind of difference of opinions and ideas is always going to be there. But we have to be united on a higher platform. We have to be united on a higher purpose. That we are all here to serve and please Srila Prabhupada. And anything we do which violates the principle of humility and cooperation, that is not pleasing to the acharyas. So that is why humility and cooperation has to be the foundation of everything else we can do. So we may do something today, something tomorrow, we may do to full potential, we may do to whatever it may appear to be. But if humility and cooperation are there in the foundation, then everything is sustainable. But if this spirit of humility and cooperation not there, then things will rise, but things can equally collapse also. So at an individual level, we have to evaluate ourselves on this spirit, of humility and cooperation, because the way to cultivate detachment is to increase our attachment to Krishna. And the entire process of sadhana, of Bhakti Yoga, it focuses on increasing our attachment to Krishna. And the beauty or the glory of Srila Prabhupada is that Srila Prabhupada made the practice of bhakti relishable, enjoyable, even to our material senses. What I mean to say is that even to material senses, even people who not know about the philosophy of Bhakti Yoga and everything, but even somebody comes to ISKCON temple, that the darshan is pleasing to his eyes. I've never seen anything like that. Right? Such decorations and such dressing of the deities and such kind of dresses. Everyone is like, they've never seen anything like that. They find it awesome. They never smelled anything like that. First time people come, the kind of smell agarbatti has in ISKCON, it's different than all the other things they use. And the flowers and atra and everything. And the kirtans, they are so well coordinated and organized with instruments and everything, not random that somebody just, pulling the rope and bell is going off way and somebody is singing, not like that. Very harmonious. Sometimes they have guitars and violin and whatnot, all kind of instrument. Even kirtan is appealing to a person who will not have to do anything on devotional service. And what to say, prasadam? Prasadam is the greatest crowd puller. In the lecture, there will always be only 1/3 or 1/4 of the people who will come for prasadam on any given day, whether it's any festival or anything. It's the law everywhere, including USA. Including USA. I was talking to one person, he said, Guruji, lecture में 20-25 लोग आते हैं Sunday feast में. प्रसाद के time में 100 crosses. USA or to the India. So Srila Prabhupada made bhakti attractive even to the material mundane senses. Although bhakti is done by the internal senses, but even that much attraction he created, and that is his glory, that is his contribution. That's so that the whole world can be attracted, and it's a fact. Lakhs of people are coming to Mayapur darshan every day. Nowadays they have started announcing. I don't know how they get the count, but every day they announce. Yesterday they announced 85,000 people came. When I was last time analyzing, 70,000 people are coming to Tirupati every day. Because they have a single queue and all those systems in Mayapur. Huge place. So many people can take darshan one time. 85,000 people. So Prabhupada made it very accessible. It made it very attractive for us. And now it's up to us to take it very seriously. And if we follow the program given by Srila Prabhupada, morning till evening, then everything will be attained. In form and in essence, both. Because there's a form, morning program till evening program. There's a form of scheduled activities. But there's a spirit also in which we attend them. That spirit is the mood of being servant of servant. Prabhupada has written about it also many times. Prabhupada has quoted about Tanadapi Sunichena and being a servant of servant multiple times. If we hear his lecture regularly, then we'll know that it is a very strong emphasis in Srila Prabhupada teaching. So if we cultivate that spirit and we follow the program given by Srila Prabhupada, then success is guaranteed. Prabhupada write that word guarantee several times in his writings also, in his lectures also. So I'm very happy here to be able to be of some service. I'm sorry I exceeded the time by a few minutes. If there are any comments or corrections, then we can have a couple of minutes. And then
if anybody has any questions, can ask.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the nice class. I have one question. You told that to advance in spiritual life, we have to be pessimistic about material life and captivated about spiritual life or spiritual world. So this, I feel this being pessimistic about material life is so easy because we see so much disturbances and sufferings. It's very easy to be pessimistic. How to be captivated about spiritual world? Because even after reading Krishna's pastimes and still that attraction for the spiritual world, going back there, is not there. And just being pessimistic doesn't give so much inspiration. So how we can be captivated?
Yeah, good question. This I was telling toward the end that Actually, in the beginning, when we hear about the spiritual world, we definitely get a great joy. First time we hear this Golok Vrindavan and all the description what we hear, definitely there's attraction. Definitely, we want to go there. Later on, it may appear like a routine thing. Back home, back to God. It will not appeal to us so much strongly on a day-to-day basis. And it happens, it's a part of practicing sadhana bhakti. So, how we can get captivated? One of the best things is to keep our hearing very strong. For both, being pessimistic about material world and, captivated by the spiritual world, hearing is the process. If hearing is strong and we keep on hearing from advanced devotees, then our enthusiasm and eagerness is maintained very well. Another thing is that we have to be very participative in the practice of Krishna consciousness. Many times, because of the nature of the material world, the things go on a, mechanical track. So by our contemplation, by our reflection, we have to identify, is it gone to auto mode? Auto mode. In the Western countries, there are roads which are like 200 miles straight only. So they have a button in the car called cruise. So they put that button and lock it. And you don't have to press no steering, no ABC, nothing. It just moves on. Correct, no? Because it's there from Calgary. So there are roads like that. So it goes auto mode and a person can check his mobile and he can even take a nap also. The cars are they're so confident it will go on. So we were captivated, definitely. We were captivated, that's why we are here. But that enthusiasm may appear to be reduced, and to maintain that enthusiasm, the key is to not become mechanical in the practice. We hear Govinda Vadi Purusham every day, so it doesn't really. First time we hear it, or first time anybody new hears it, he says, "What is this?" They definitely consider it as something out of the world, the way it goes. Govinda. We hear every day 7:30. So this is the challenge which comes. And this challenge of becoming mechanical or becoming ritualistic, it has to be overcome by our own reflection and contemplation only. Facilities all there, but we become non-participative or we become ritualistically participative. Then it becomes a problem. So we have to participate also and then put our heart also in that. Then, newer and newer things will be revealed. Krishna is ever new. So more we read about him, more we hear about him, definitely it's captivating. In fact, in the beginning, we hear about Krishna in a very distant way, Krishna is the Lord and all, but later on as we practice, then Krishna appears to be very personal and very close. At that time when we hear about his pastime, those pastimes have greater impact and greater effect on our consciousness than the previous ones also. So keep on hearing and keep on participating. Kirtan is the highest form of ecstasy of the spiritual world. But sometimes we become so busy in management, we hardly participate in Kirtan, including myself. Mahaprabhu came to give us Kirtan, this is Sankirtan mission. But it's a challenge for, I would say, majority of the ISKCON, devotees, leaders, or grown up, to be present in the full Kirtan. Right? Chant and dance. And dancing becomes so rare as we go on. Dancing becomes like once in a year we dance. But actually, chanting and dancing can give the experience of the spiritual world right now here to everyone. But we become more intellectual oriented and more philosophical oriented, and then we say chanting, dancing for new people, PDCs. We are a little extra. So then it becomes a problem. In Mayapur also, you see the new bhaktas, you see them, they dance in rhythm one hand to another, and they're like, powerful. That whole thing is so attractive. People click videos of that dancing itself. So if people are feeling joy in clicking the video, how much joy they must be experiencing in dancing themselves. If you are participative, I have seen that it really is wonderful. Participating and with consciousness. That is my understanding. Would you like to? We'll end here. We have already exceeded time. Any other comment or correction is also welcome, not only question. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful class. You mentioned that our attitude in bhakti, we should keep introspect that it is that of humility and cooperation, despite having difference of opinions, and one should endeavor to the common goal of pleasing and serving proper mission. But we find that with number of years, although this is the core principle we have been hearing, we see that it is becoming tougher to apply that in our practical life with our services. So, what could be the missing point, and how do we address it?
The point is about hearing only. Now we heard, today we heard and discussed, so then we have to start somewhere. Because we have to start from ourselves. And in my discussions with whatever senior devotees I know, this is a common point. Bhakti is internal, and unless each individual takes responsibility for his progress in Krishna consciousness, it will not happen just by the surroundings and by the ambience and atmosphere alone. That's very important, very much required. But every sadhaka has to reflect, has to see where am I going, how am I doing. So we start from somewhere. We have some department, we have some service, we have some authority, right? Everyone has. So whatever we could not do yesterday, then let us try to change it today. One step at a time. It's not that we will become 100% humble and 100% cooperative in one. But whatever, till yesterday, whatever was the stand, now at least we change by 1 iota, 1 degree, or one small quantity. So advancement is always a stepwise process, gradual process, not a sudden immediate thing. But we do need to do that. So start from wherever we are, we start from there. It can be anything. Today I did not chant properly, so okay, let me chant 2 more rounds just with more attention. If I am not satisfied with my quality of chanting, let me chant 1 or 2 more rounds. That better. So it may be like that, it may be about reading. So whatever we know that we could not do or we have not done well, let us do it. It's an eternal process. But that endeavor has to be made. So chestita, one has to endeavor oneself. Nobody else can do it for us. Our spiritual master, the devotees association, the previous acharyas, everything else is there to facilitate. They are all there, but they cannot do on our behalf. That onus, that responsibility is only our individual responsibility. So think about it, discuss with your friend or with your mentor, counselor, and take one step and go with it. When we are internally very active in our spiritual practice, then we are very stable. Because we have a lot of homework to do inside. Even externally things are not going well, internally there's so much to do. Right? We already have so many other projects, even if outside projects are not there. Although outside projects will never be less in ISKCON. But internal projects are very necessary to keep us stable and steady and not get affected by the external situations. So start somewhere, wherever you are. Wherever you identified that you are not humble or non-cooperative, now you analyze how can be at least a little more cooperative and humble in that situation. Start. Okay. Last question. Somebody has a hand raised.
You were sharing about that sometimes devotees leave after 5 years, 10 years. That is because they are not focusing on the right thing. They are practicing on physical level, mental level. So can you share how we are practicing Krishna consciousness, but we can practice properly so that we are doing the right thing in the association of devotees?
Actually, the practice of Krishna consciousness is, in its true sense, is a combination of the activity and the consciousness. Both are there as a part of it. But sometimes, as I was saying, that over a period of time, we neglect or we forget or we kind of less prioritize the The internal part. Because internal part is not visible, the external part is visible. So whatever is visible, that gets attention. And internal part is our own endeavor, own initiative. It's not so much visible to others. We don't get glory for that. Right? We get more acknowledgement, appreciation, rewards for the external achievement, which are very visible, which are measurable. Right? So that sometimes, make us focus more on the external part than the internal part. But internal part is essential to make it again sustainable. And it simply means that we remember the purpose for which we are doing things. Right? Just the remembrance of the purpose sets right everything. Our identity as a servant of the servant, although theoretical, takes time to practice it. But the awareness of the identity and the awareness of the purpose, that will keep us on the right track anytime. Who am I? What am I doing? Why am I doing? Ask these questions periodically. And the answer will keep us on the right track. It's not that difficult. Okay? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Very glad and happy to have some opportunity to serve. And I don't know whether I could serve well or not, but it's really wonderful to be here at this place where Srila Prabhupada lived and performed his pastime in the city, all the different places. And Srila Prabhupada's position is non-comparable to anyone else. Every acharya has a unique position, but I will just conclude with this, that I was once reading an offering by His Holiness Bhakti Chandra Swami Maharaj. Take it out of the folio, but I definitely read it. And there he was saying that he saw in a dream, and he was talking to Srila Prabhupada, that once in a day of Brahma, Krishna appears from Goloka, he comes. And in the same Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes. And then he said that in the same Kali Yuga, after Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance, then Srila Prabhupada also goes in exact same universe and establishes ISKCON. So Srila Prabhupada is the eternal, ISKCON founder Acharya for all the universes like that, one offering. So how much good fortune we have to be in the same place, serving and trying to do something wonderful for the mission is unfathomable. So thank you all very much for your such wonderful, amazing, inspiring service in Prabhupada mission. Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Thank God.